Recording is on.
All right, hey everybody, we're here on this week's Learning Bitcoin and Design call. We've got a couple of topics we're going to talk about today. Just some you know uh, miscellaneous ideas. Um, Nothing probably as in depth as we went over last week or the week before, but just a couple of interesting things people are looking to learn about. Um, so let's see. First kind of item on our agenda here is Dulce is curious about learning more about Zeus Wallet. Um, so, real quick, I'll go ahead and give this a name and paste this in the chat just in case things get wild inside this Figma document. Let's see, today is March the 15th, and I can put a share link. But this might be a very sparsely populated FigJam document today because I don't have any elaborate diagrams prepared, but we'll see where the hour takes us. So Dulce, have you tried? Have you like actually tried out Zeus Wallet and downloaded it yet?
No, right now, no. I don't have my new node running. I am working on that.
Okay, yeah. So you're it sounds like you're running a node, maybe on some dedicated hardware or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. This is.
Oh, the website's been updated since the last time I've been there. Nice. They got the new logo up there.
I think it would happen to me is like I want to try it, and then I realized like, oh, I don't have my node running yet, and I couldn't check. I couldn't have the experience without having my own node or connecting with my own node.
Yeah, exactly. So Zeus is definitely it's different than a lot of the wallets that we consider when we're making the design guide. I think I remember I think it was the creator Evan said that he wanted to make the best possible wallet for full node operators. So um, I consider Zeus to be kind of an advanced wallet, though it's
Absolutely, I agree with
yeah.
you, and it is the way to go. And just I want to see a little bit more.
And you're
Uh,
going to learn a lot about Lightning running your own full node and using Zeus. So yeah, I mean, right here, this is new to me. I haven't seen this, but I'm really liking the way that this looks here. Um, so I mean, the way to think about this is just that, yeah, like it's for full node operators, and it's kind of designed to give you as much control over your node as possible. Uh, Directly from your phone. Sometimes I guess the way to think about it is that there's other mobile wallets that will let you connect to a full Lightning node, but some of them make some sacrifices. Like they'll try to make the experience a little bit easier. Um, they think like, okay, you're on your phone, so all that you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to like send payments and receive payments. But uh, Zeus takes it way further than that, and it actually lets you manage your channels. Like here's all of the different Lightning channels that this node has on it. So it really gives you an incredible degree of control over your node directly from your phone. I mean, I think one time I was at a party or something, and somebody wanted a channel, and so I pulled out Zeus and opened a channel with them right then and there. So
that's amazing.
yeah, you can do some pretty incredible stuff with it. With that comes a degree of responsibility, though. Got to take the time to learn how to run your node. But it's pretty incredible wallet. Um, I mean, I guess I would say that there's a couple of different ways that you can connect your wallet to it as well. I think like if you're running an Umbrel at your house, you would use um, probably the easiest way there is L&D Connect. You can actually go onto your Umbrel and there's like you can say connect a wallet, and then you select Zeus from the drop down. And
Oh yeah, okay, got it.
so if you're on Umbrel, it's very easy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I used to have an umbrella, but now I'm just doing from scratch, like the whole thing, step
Yeah.
by step.
Yeah, perfect. So I guess I remember when I started my own work for the first time, the longest process there was just waiting for all the block filters to sync and all of that. And but once you get your block filters synced, you should be good and ready to go. And then once you do get set up with your Umbral, um, then you're going to want to get your first payment channels. So, if you reach out to anyone else who runs a Lightning node, wink, wink, you can ask them if they'll open a channel with you. So that's a good way to get your first payment channel. And another thing you can do is go to Lightning Network Plus, I think. I think Christoph introduced me to this website many months ago, and it comes in handy when you just need a channel real quickly, and it'll basically be these kind of like beds. And so these people.
What is the URL again, please?
It is a lightningnetwork.plus. So I'll paste
Oh,
this
that plus. Okay.
chat here so everybody has it. These people here, so this is an application. They're trying to form like I guess you'd call it like a liquidity square. And so 4 people are going to each open channels with each other, A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A. And they all want 1 million sat channels. So there's 3 of 4 spaces available. So if you joined this swap, then there would be 2 of 4. And so you just wait for it to fill up, and then the people open the channels together, and then everybody has a lot of payment, has a lot of liquidity for their node. So that's a really easy, helpful way to get a Lightning channel. And you can also open channels directly with places like Ellen Big or something like that. You can get the pub key or the URI and copy and paste that into your Umbral and open a channel with them. And whoever this anonymous person is, they run a lot of Lightning nodes, and so they if you connect to one of their nodes, you're guaranteed to have real good connectivity with your Umbral. So
I'm afraid of LNB. I don't know if it could be the IRS. Just kidding.
Well, the good news is that the Umbral interface provides a layer on top of LND. So
Okay.
When you open a channel, it's like they make it really easy for you. There's like a big green button or something that says open channel, and then you click on it, and it tells you what to paste into the fields. So I'm not saying there's nothing you can mess up. There's definitely you can definitely get into trouble, but the user interface is pretty friendly, and so I think fairly easy to figure out. But also the Umbral community is very good too.
Yeah, I used to have the Umbral, but now I'm setting up a different one. Because I'm trying to do like the C lining from scratch, and it's just more like a fun to learn than that Umbral. Yeah.
So yeah, it might be good to focus on getting your Lightning node set up and getting some payment channels in there first, and then once you've got some payment channels and liquidity going into your node, then you could install a wallet like Zeus, and then you'd be able to manage all of that from your phone.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. In terms of the Bitcoin design guide, so kind of our most current, give you an update on what we've been working on. So we launched V2 of the guide back in February, and it's just here at the same link. And the basic idea with V2 is that we updated it for Lightning and added a lot of content to different sections, like considerations for Lightning wallets. So as an example, the onboarding section, if you go to say backing up a wallet, there's now information in there for designers and developers about different considerations for backing up Lightning wallets, or funding a wallet for the first time. There's different considerations for Lightning. So there's a lot of material added in there. And kind of our next big project that we were just chatting about this morning was trying to rearrange the guide and just just to organize it in a way that will hopefully be more intuitive and helpful to people using it. So like if I go to the main website and I click on design, we get to this page here, and it's a very nice looking picture, but the main content is below the fold here. So we're looking to promote some of this content higher up here. And, also, we've been looking at some designs too, just for really radically changing the way this page looks. Like we really want to promote some of these like case study types of content that kind of shows you like a full wallet prototype. We really want to promote that to, the homepage of the guide, and make this content more visible, because we just have an intuition that it'll be more helpful content for people. And then we just have some reorganizational work that we want to do on some of these sections here to make it just so that people can hopefully find the content that they want easier, and all of that. So there's a call recording from yesterday and this morning where we discuss it, and also we'll be sharing some more documents in the Slack channel soon, looking for community feedback about the reorganization that we're trying to do to the content. So that's kind of where we're at right now. That's kind of our main focus. And then, some other topics that are kind of on the roadmap are, merchants section, accessibility, research, translation, and really any of those topics are ripe to be worked on. But I think they kind of need a champion, someone who will champion them and, get people excited about working on them, and, host calls and all that kind of stuff. It just, somebody I think needs to take the initiative on those. But that's kind of where we're at with the guide at this moment in time.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it's super interesting, and it's a huge project for sure.
So if nobody has questions or comments about anything we've talked about thus far, I'll just go ahead and move on to some of these other topics.
No question on my side.
Cool. So Millie had asked about multisig and different ways of protecting your private key. I just heard a sound come from the chat, thumbs up symbol. Sometimes I wish I would just see that instead of the sound effects, there would actually be some kind of like text to speech thing that would actually like read out what's going on when I can't see it when it's on my screen. Like, hey, somebody did a thumbs up. Somebody has a raised hand. So yeah, different ways of protecting your private key, in particular multisig. Let's go check out the guide and see what we have in here, and then go into some more detail. So I think we have some kind of stuff about that, and let's see, like shared account, savings account, I believe, and then private key management, Multikey. I guess that would be getting into kind of multisig. Let me see where else I can dig up some information here. Maybe the hardware review page. Yeah, so one kind of content that we should probably look at would be things like the hardware page. So let me just double check the question again and make sure that you guys are right. Different ways of protecting your private key, in particular multisig. Yeah. So obviously, if you have a Bitcoin wallet that's on your phone, more than likely that's what we call a hot wallet. So it means that the private key is stored on the phone itself. So that's very convenient because it means you can spend Bitcoin from your phone, but it makes it a little dangerous too, because if your phone got, say, stolen and somebody was able to, use your phone without you being there, if somebody hacked your phone or something like that, you could lose the private key, or they could get the private key and spend your Bitcoin. So that's kind of dangerous. So we have to look to for larger quantities of Bitcoin, we have to look to other ways of storing them. So you've got your physical backups, something just like writing it on a piece of paper or stamping it on metal or something like that, like seed plate thing. I think there's all kinds of companies that makes things like these where you try to store your key by engraving it in metal. And these are, we would call this air gapped, because the key, there's an air gap. The key is not on the computer and it's not connected to the internet. There's literally a gap of air between the key and the computer. This is incredibly inconvenient because, every time you needed to use the wallet, you might need to, load the key by like typing in the seed phrase. So it's incredibly inconvenient, but it's incredibly secure as well. So that's good. And then you could take that in another direction and use a hardware wallet. So these are different brands: Foundation, Trezor, Cold Card, Ledger. And this is a simple device where the key effectively lives on this device here. It's created on this device and it stays on this device. And so a way of thinking about that might be, really a better word for it might actually be a signing device. Some people call it that. So, maybe you have your computer and it has a Bitcoin app on it. And then you have, like, let's say a hardware wallet. Like this is your Trezor or something, or Ledger. It's one of these things here. And then, what you would have to do is your wallet would effectively create a Bitcoin transaction. So you would, be sitting there using your computer, and there'd be a piece of software that's, that's like a kind of like a Bitcoin wallet, and you choose how much money you want to send and where you want to send it to, and then it creates a transaction, but it's unsigned. It's an unsigned transaction, so it doesn't work. So you would connect your Trezor to the computer. The Bitcoin transaction would be sent to the Trezor. The Trezor would, sign it, and then it would send it back to the Bitcoin app, and then the Bitcoin app would broadcast it to the Bitcoin network. So that effectively makes it so that the Trezor doesn't need to be connected to the internet. It doesn't need to live on the computer. It just sits on its own over here, and it keeps it a lot safer. So then you could take that a step further, and then you could do something like Multikey, which is basically where you have more than one key. So here's examples of services and wallets that might use that scheme. But as an example, the idea is that I have maybe my Trezor here, and then I've got my Ledger here, and then got my Cold Card here. And you could distribute these. So you could keep one of them in your house, and then you could keep another one at a family member's house, and then maybe another one is with a company like Unchained Capital. Like maybe we'll just call this a key, because it might not be on a hardware device, but it could be with a company like Unchained Capital, or it could be stored with like a lawyer or something like that. There's different ways of doing it, and it's a very similar kind of thing as was before. You could have something that's like, okay, this is a 2 of 3 setup, and then I have my unsigned Bitcoin transaction here, and I have to send it to here, and I have to get it signed, and then I have to send it to here and get it signed, and then it's valid, and I can broadcast it and spend it. Or maybe I do the other one. Maybe I do these two instead. The idea being that if I lose one of these, if your house burns down and you lose your key, then you have the other key that was with your family member. Or if one of these might be an app on your phone and you lose your phone, it gets stolen. So you've got your one backed up with Unchained. And so you can still spend it using these two keys. So I mean, that's the basic gist of multi-sig, and people have done much more complicated things. You could do a 3 of 5, and there's even this idea of, that you could do like really complicated spending conditions with these, like you need all 3 keys to spend it, but or you can spend it with 2 keys, but there has to be like a 30-day hold on the money, right? So in theory, people can do like real complicated things with it because it's programmable money. But I think that, really the majority of the stuff you see are stuff just like these kind of simple 2 of 3 multi-sig vaults. And that's, one of the kind of surfaces that Unchained Capital offers.
Is that what a Seedsigner is as well then, Stephen? Like, is like Seedsigner the same as like a Trezor, or?
Yeah, so a Seedsigner is like a Trezor, but an even higher level of security. So, Trezor and Ledger, they market themselves as wallets, right? And I heard a Seedsigner speak once, the maintainer of the project, and somebody called it on stage, called it a wallet, and he very quickly corrected them and said, no, it's a signing device. And so like the idea is that like so let me just like pull up the Seedsigner website. It effectively does a very similar thing as a Trezor, but the difference is that the Seedsigner is designed to never have your key on it, or it's designed to never permanently store your key. I'm trying to see if there's like a good way of visualizing this with the materials they have. Like, it makes sense when you see it. They do have some video walkthroughs and things like that, but here, like, if I pull up this one real quick, mute that. Like, effectively, they're building this thing from scratch, right? And let me get to the part where you actually like use the key. Maybe they don't show it in this video. Well, I'll just do like a quick like mock-up. The basic gist of it is that like when you have something like the Trezor here, there, that looks nice. The key is actually on the device. Oh wait, I could use an emoji. Hold on, give me a second. This is gonna be awesome. Yeah, I feel so clever now. And then I'll make that extra large. All right, cool. So yeah, Trezor, it's actually gonna have the key living on the device, and then the Seedsigner is gonna be different. It's gonna be like, it's actually gonna keep the key off of the device. And like, you would actually keep this on like a piece of paper. You would actually write down the seed words, or what's even wilder is they give you this little piece of paper that has a template for a QR code, and you take a Sharpie, and when your Seedsigner generates the key, you put a Sharpie and you like paint your own. It's like a paint by numbers. You just put a dot with the Sharpie, to draw your QR code on the template. And then, so basically your Seedsigner has a camera, and it can take a picture of the piece of paper and use that to generate the key using the information contained on the paper. But then once you turn it off and you disconnect the power, it just completely trashes everything in memory. So you keep the key. The key never touches the internet. It never even directly like touches And the Seedsigner never touches the internet too. They have this crazy system where it when you sign a Bitcoin transaction, like when I was passing this thing back and forth, it turns it into an animated QR code, and you have to turn the Seedsigner back around and play back that animated QR code into another device. If it sounds like a really wild level of security, it is. It's like if you want to learn Bitcoin transactions very deeply, I recommend using a Seedsigner because you'll learn it very quickly. Having said that, I don't think that it's it's kind of a difficult device to use in my opinion. Though it's a really good project. I love the project very much, and there's a designer I know who works on the project to try and improve things, but it's just very complicated, kind of setup to use. And I'm not really sure where to move forward with that, but it's a promising idea because it's very easy, like for me in the U.S. to get a Trezor or a Ledger, but there's also developing nations where it's not going to be as easy to get a Trezor or a Ledger, and so Seedsigner offers a very low cost way of getting a hardware wallet because you can build it from off the shelf components, and because it never stores the keys, theoretically multiple people can share the same Seedsigner as long as they keep their keys backed up separately and stored separately, right? So that's one idea, at least, is that the Seedsigner is like a shareable device, but it's kind of in the same category as this stuff. Long answer to your question.
I wanted to add one additional consideration that's well covered on the Bitcoin backups page, which is what are you protecting your keys or your wallet against? There are categories like you lose your wallet, which is your own fault. Somebody remote theft, which is somebody accesses it through the internet to get your keys and then take your money. There's physical damage. There's a theft on discovery, which means maybe somebody sees your device and somebody gets a hold of your phone, sees the seed phrase and copies it or something like that. And then there's catastrophic event, I don't know, earthquake, you die, you want inheritance. So, and I think with each one, you can think about different techniques of how to protect yourself and your money. It gets kind of complicated, but I think it's a good system. I think the Bitcoin backups page does a good job at explaining these.
Yeah, that's a good point. We probably should have just started here. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, this kind of like lays it out, like as you can see, this like stuff here, the recovery phrase stamped on metal is like on this side of the graph right here. It protects against all these things right here, but probably not what you want for your just daily spending wallet. You're probably more worried about if it's a wallet that you're going to use to go making daily purchases with. You're probably just worried about losing your phone or something like that. But this page goes into a lot more detail about some of the things that we've been talking about. So Millie, how are you feeling? Was that the kind of information you were looking for?
Yeah, no, that's good. I also have maybe just a question regarding your opinion for adaptation of securing private key.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think let's say in a hyper Bitcoinized world, people would store their own private key, or they would rely on a company such as Unchained to store it, most likely?
Well, I think they probably are going to rely on companies like Unchained and Casa, and maybe there's some other companies doing similar things. But the distinction to make is that I think the term for that is assisted custody. The idea being that what we don't want in a hyper Bitcoinized world is a situation where people can spend money on your behalf without you asking. And if it's a completely custodial wallet and they own all your keys, then they can spend it on your behalf. But the thing that's nice about services like Unchained and Casa is that they can't spend anything on your behalf. You know, it's like if this is Unchained right here, you know, if this is Unchained Capital right here, it's kind of like they have like a backup in a sense of your key. But if this is your key and, you know, this is the key you keep with your friend or family, there's no way that Unchained Capital can spend your funds without asking. You have to collaborate with them, or this person holder has to collaborate with them, but they can't spend it on your own. So in that regard, I think it's a very valuable service that companies like that provide, and I think they'll continue to provide it.
All right, thank you.
And I think it also depends. You know, a lot of money is in bank accounts or used to, because you deposit it and you get an interest rate or something like that. So savings, like if it's just your daily change, your wallet, you might be comfortable holding your own keys in a decent setup because it's a small amount. If you have tons of savings somewhere and you wanna make that money should work for you in through some type of third-party service, then of course you need to have some kind of understanding and system and trust set up with that service. So it just kind of depends on your use case also, what you want to do.
That's true.
That's a good point to bring up. And I think that's one of the services that Unchained is providing too. They have like another, they have some other service, and if I'm getting this right, it's something to the effect of, well, like if you want to take out a loan, then they'll give you have like a multi-sig setup where you hold a key, they hold a key, and then a third party, like a neutral third party arbitrator, holds the third key, and then you can take out a loan against your Bitcoin, and all of that. And I think the part of the value of that you do in that sense, I think, trust them and the third party arbitrator, but the advantage in that situation would be that you can actually still see your funds on the blockchain. So you can be assured that there's no like rehypothecation going on at the bank, because you can monitor your funds there on the blockchain and make sure that the collateral for the loan hasn't been spent. So, you know, I think that there's room for some degree of in the future. I think there'll be room for these kind of semi-custodial, shared custodial relationships, and will definitely require some degree of trust. But I think that, you know, that idea that you could see the money on the blockchain provides a degree of accountability that you wouldn't get with our traditional financial technology. So that might be a good segue into this topic, if everybody's feeling comfortable with multisig. So really, I mean, the people at Galoy could probably you know, talk about this a lot more in depth than I can, but I can share what I know. So they're trying to build an open source banking infrastructure for Bitcoin, and the basic idea is that you know, obviously, if you have a bank account, then you probably interact with it digitally through your phone or your computer, and so the bank has to have some kind of back-end computer infrastructure where they manage their money and all of that. So they're trying to kind of create that back-end computer infrastructure, but the differences are they're trying to do it do it with Bitcoin. And they're also trying to open source it so that anybody can run it. Well, they have open sourced it, I should say, rather. So they've got a GitHub repository, and you know, you can see right here that they've got this code base here. And what this code base effectively does is, see here it is, TLDR. Galoy is an opinionated Bitcoin banking platform. So the idea is if somebody wanted to start their own Bitcoin bank, they would take this code and install it on a server and run their own Bitcoin bank. And then they have another project on here. So this is Galoy Mobile, and this one right here is for an app. And so this code would be used to form the banking app for the user. So kind of like how if you have a regular bank account, you probably have a mobile banking app. Well, this would be the same thing, but it would be for a Bitcoin bank. And it would connect to the thing we looked at on the previous screen right here. So it's important to note that this is a custodial bank, custodial Bitcoin solution. So there's pros and cons here. The disadvantage to the situation is it's not the self-custodial Bitcoin situation that a lot of us dream of. But the advantage to this is that communities that don't have banks can start their own bank using this software. And furthermore, the bank can actually be managed by someone in the community. So like if you see these screenshots here, this is something changed. There we go. This is the Bitcoin Beach wallet. So for El Zonte, El Salvador, they've taken this code base that we're looking at here, and they've created this wallet right here. And you can see that it's very carefully crafted for the needs of this community. You can see they can send and receive their Bitcoin, and then you can go tap on the map and you can see businesses in this community that accept Bitcoin as money. And then you can also see there's some educational stuff that teaches the user how to use Bitcoin. And the way I understand it is that there's like members of the community who I guess control the bank, run the multisig. And so again, it's custodial. Someone else is ultimately in control of your money, but it's like, well, would you rather have someone managing your money that's this kind of large bureaucracy that you don't really have any control over, or would you rather it be someone you trust that lives in your community? So ideally we get to a situation where everyone in the world is able to self-custody their own Bitcoin, but for some communities this might be a good solution for the short term.
And I think some of the reasons why they do this custodial is because the Lightning network's maybe not ready yet for this to be fully self-custodial on in areas where the internet connection's not that awesome. Maybe the phones are a little bit older, and you also have creating all these channels. It could be a little bit expensive if you're very low income. So there are just a bunch of very practical, real world, but also technological, tech maturity reasons that came together why a hosted communal solution is the most appropriate at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because you see, like in the USA, we have Unchained Capital, obviously in Texas, and they're catering to a different audience. They're catering to they're not dealing with Lightning, they're dealing with multisig, because they're dealing with clients that are probably far wealthier, who've been holding Bitcoin for a longer time and have been able to purchase much more of it. And when you go to some of these communities, there's just not as much money, and so something that's like seems like a really tiny channel opening fee to someone in the US is going to seem like a very, very large amount of money to somebody in this community. So this get the job done. And I think another thing too is you also have people who are much older, who didn't grow up with phones, So this is like a good way of kind of like trusting the next generation down to help you interact with technology.
Yeah, and even I think Breeze, they're still in alpha, and they're not totally public yet because they also have a hard time making their business model work with all of the channel openings, and so they kind of have to pay a little bit of money for every user they have to onboard them into Lightning. And then if you don't have a good business model, that just eats up, that just costs you a lot of money for every customer.
Yeah.
So there's just a bunch of unresolved things, and that's why this custodial solution is, from a principles perspective, is not what you want eventually, but it is practical and it works right now. It works well.
Yeah.
Do you guys know if they have a contingency plan? For example, someone that wants to fully control that money, did Galore think about that, even if it's custodial?
Well, the person using this wallet, can send and receive to any Bitcoin address, or they can pay any Lightning invoice. So let's say the user has this Bitcoin Beach wallet and they've got 900, they've got almost 2 million sats in here. If they decide that they want to stop using Bitcoin Beach, there's nothing stopping them from sending that Bitcoin to another wallet. They could download Moon Wallet off of the App Store, or some other wallet, and they could send their funds there and then self-custody that way. So yeah, the user is free to send their Bitcoin wherever they want to.
Yeah, I think I was thinking more my question in terms of someone is setting up a bank in the community, and for some reason this guy is bad and decide to steal all this money. I was wondering if they have a contingent plan for that in particular.
Yep, I don't know. I can't comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, if I can just put my own personal take on it, I can imagine that if I lived somewhere in the world and I tried to start a bank for my community, and then one day I turned evil, yeah, I can definitely imagine that the people in my community would probably beat me up real bad.
Yeah.
But
The other thing is what I learned. I'm from an indigenous community in Mexico. It's not about you. It's about the reputation of your family. Even in countries like Singapore, it's not about going to jail or losing an arm. It's about the reputation of your family. The disgrace, and you can correct my English, the disgrace that you can bring to your family for generations is horrible. That's more than money. That heavy weight is heavier than money. I would say that.
So maybe that's the contingency plan.
Yeah, your reputation's gonna suck.
You can check a movie like I Want to Be Millionaire or something about the Indian guy who stole a bunch of money, and what happened is they watch the movie. If you don't watch the movie, I will tell the end to you in the Slack. This kind of how understand developing countries and families and reputation and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. It's called The Indian Millionaire, you said?
I think so. I will check it out. Send in the Slack. Don't worry.
Okay.
Let me try to find out.
Okay, cool.
Is the idea that in maybe I've heard this from John's about St. Lucia too, that the government doesn't provide very much. It's just not very organized. So the what ties people together are more the family bonds. And so your reputation and your family, your tribe, becomes more important.
That makes sense.
Is that the idea? I'm just asking.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I couldn't hear correct.
Dolce was saying. I have another question, Steven, regarding Galore. So, like for example, if someone wants to set up like a bank, they have all this code that they need like to implement. So is it Galore is going to provide for that, like people to help them install this code? Because I assume most of them are not that technology savvy.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I think they must, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong in that. But I think they must. I think that they're I mean they're pretty involved down in El Salvador. I can say
Yeah.
that much. They're they had this whole conference in El Salvador last year called Adopting Bitcoin, and I think that some of the people work out of the country, so it's yeah they're definitely very involved in El Zonte. I don't know what the exact arrangement or agreement is, but and then there's another community called in Costa Rica, and they are they've taken the code, they've taken this they're running this code, and they took this code right here and forked it, and they made the Bitcoin Jungle wallet. It's kind of like instead of Bitcoin Beach, they're Bitcoin Jungle, and so they have their own kind of Bitcoin economy in that country. And I don't know if Galoy is as heavily involved there. That would be a question more for Nicholas or Andrew. They're both in our Slack channel and could probably speak a lot more to that relationship. But from what it sounded like the Bitcoin Jungle community just kind of did it on their own, which was kind of interesting sounding. Like it seems like they're a little bit independent, which is kind of relieving to know that the kind of open source model is working and people are taking the code and making it work for them. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure the exact way those arrangements work.
All right. Thank you, Stephen.
Uh-huh. Well, it is right about 4:00 right here. How's everybody feeling? Any more questions or comments before we wrap things up?
Claps to Stefan.
What do you say? I don't understand.
Claps to you.
Oh, thank you. That's a lot of
Thank you,
clap.
Stefan. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
Yeah, that was cool, Stephen. Thank you, man.
The kind of images just keep coming. Okay.
I really like the emojis in Jitsi are much better than in other platform.
What happens if I do a blank face? Does that make a sound? That's funny. All right. I don't even know if any of these sound effects show up on the recording. Whatever. So yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and kill the recording there, and that is a wrap.